it's Tony from Cassette Come Back, and I got a surprise box today out of the blue. Here, I've opened it, you can't see much of it, but I love getting surprises out of the blue, so I thought I would open it up, share it with you. Let's see what we've got and see if there's anything that is worth making some videos on. So these have come from Paul. Paul, you know who you are. Thank you very much for sending this. It's very much appreciated. And it's well wrapped. I like that. You can't beat well wrapped. Right, so let's see. Well, very well wrapped. What we've got. Right, we've got the Memorex MRXIS. Yes, super ferric. These very underrated cassette. I think these are Cyan. The Cyan or SKC? I think the Cyan, but they did two versions, SKC and Cyan, but I don't think I've done a video on these, so thank you very much for that one. Right, a Sony EF Premium. Now, you know, I could be going Bing all day now showing you other videos I've done, but this one, I've done the EF, the Super EF, found them to be great entry-level cassettes. Premium EF, not done anything on them. Okay, Coolio Iglesias. Right, Yashica UFO. Now again, these, sorry, Yashica, no, that's a camera company. This is Yashima. They're trying to obviously bounce off that, but ultraferric oxide. So I've not done any video on these, so yeah, goody gumdrops. And we've got another Yashima. We've got the UFO IS, which is ultraferric oxide new formula. So this is not the I, this is the IS. Oh, interesting. Right, AGFA. Yeah, AGFA FEIS. Super ferrodynamic. Okay, so super ferric, not done anything on that. This is looking good so far. Right, James York, high reliability professional quality cassette. Okay, let's not go into these too much now, but yes, James York. EMI XT. Oh, this wrapper looks very familiar. I think, does that say designed and manufactured in the UK? But this, to me, if I put it over here, looks very late 70s TDKD, but great. I haven't done any EMI cassettes. And XL Studio Grade Ferric. Alright, well, we've got 8 lovely cassettes there, so thanks very much, Paul. What shall we do? Ooh, you know what? I've got an idea. Look at that, you see, no expenses spared on this channel, is there? Anyway, as the title said, today we're going to be looking at this Memorex MRXIS, and this comes from the European lineup 8788. Now, I have a lot of memories of this cassette, very fond memories, because I used to use these in the day. And so if I use them in the day, all we can conclude is that they must have been cheap and in a multi-pack. In fact, I think I probably bought these out of Woolworths. So yeah, because in them days, you know, cassette's a cassette, you know, cheaper the better. But this is a cassette that subsequently I bought in my recent past and discovered that these were actually fantastic. Now, MRXIS, that's a bit of a mouthful. There was an MRXi, but from what I can see in the 87-88 lineup in Europe, they didn't actually have the MRXi. It went from the DBS straight to this. And this is a European version because, again, we've got, you know, Memtech products, well, Middlesex and then Santa Clara. Maybe it's just one world tape, but it doesn't matter, because if you look at this video here, I say that Memorex get a lot of stick, and a lot of people, I'll never touch Memorex, Memorex is junk. And from what I can tell, that's based on a couple of things. One, the original cassettes that were made in America weren't good. And I hate to say this to you American chaps and chapesses out there, but when you manufacture the tape yourself, you weren't the best at it, you know what I mean? The Japanese and the Europeans made better tape, at least tape that lasted longer. And I know I'm going to get a lot of abuse for that, but it seems to be the case. You know, Ampex weren't fantastic, Memorex in its time wasn't fantastic, Radio Shack had its moments, I guess, but a lot of stick is given to Memorex because of those early cassettes, and plus the fact that even though they had unique cases, like in this video, bing, the quality of the tapes themselves weren't great, and that was usually because they had felt pads in them which wore away pretty quick, you know, and they weren't even on like the usual metal spring bar like most pads are. They were just a pad stuck in there, a bit like 8-track cassettes that could wear away, and after that you didn't get the contact you needed with the heads, and the tapes didn't sound so great, and people didn't know how to replace the pads, or they couldn't be bothered, and they just threw them away and said Memorex are all crap, which isn't the case. When Memorex started outsourcing their cassettes, mostly to Korea, mostly to Saihan and SKC, I'd say Memorex were very good cassettes, and they were easily as good as anything else out there, because I have a lot of time for the Koreans. The Saihan, SKC stuff was all really good, and this is one of them. I can tell right now just by looking at the hubs that this is a Saihan made cassette. So anyhow, let's open this up and have a look on the inside. Okay, that's not going to work with the old fingernail there, and it's yeah, there we go, there's a tear strip. In fact, let's do it the dirty way. Ready? Whoa. Okay, so the first immediate thing on opening this up is, again, this is an 87-88 cassette. How old-fashioned and boring does that look? You know, we've had Sony doing the HFs, we've had TDKs doing the Ds, Maxell's doing the URs, all in these fancy clear, you know, whiz-bang clear shells, which were the trendy thing, and we've got a Memorex here in a very plain, okay, it's got a pattern on it, but a very plain, boring looking cassette. It really is. This does not look, you know, up to date, ultra sharp like its contemporaries. But then again, if we look at this now, and I tore the wrapper without looking at it. Where is it? No, does it say on the back? Hang on, yeah. This is a premium normal. So this is something that would be more competing against the AD and the HFS, and basically they also came at this time in a non-clear shell. It seemed the clear shells came for the entry level, but the more premium did come in an opaque shell, and so this seems to be competing with them because it's premium normal. And let's have a look. Outstanding low frequency, ideal for all cassette decks, very low distortion, precision engineered mechanism. So maybe this is because its competitors had, like, I mean, let's be honest, the 87-88 AD and HFS shells look more premium than this. You know, they had big windows on them. This just looks like any cassette that came before it, even almost like, you know, the Market Shell Type Zeros came in a shell like this, you know, small window, stuck on paper label. It didn't look premium compared to them, and that's maybe why I managed to get them cheap. But nonetheless, it is a fairly solid feeling shell. It really is. So if we look inside, the world's most boring J card, because basically that's it. Because again, it's a paper label, they didn't need to include any, you wrote it on. So yeah, aesthetically this ain't a great cassette. However, you know, in this day and age it looks like a stereotype cassette, and it looks quite retro cool. But that's not what's important about this cassette, because like I say, I bought them at the time, I thought they were decent, and they must have been cheap, otherwise I wouldn't have bought them, because I didn't really buy premium cassettes, because I didn't have premium systems. But the tape in this is a dark tape. Now, this isn't chocolate brown. I'm trying to, let's see if we can focus the camera on it. This has that sort of brown mixed with blue, which because I know the performance of these, I'm going to say that these are actually cobalt doped. So when we record this now, we're going to crank up the levels a bit. We're going to run it about 3 to 6 maybe, see how it copes. But I know how these cope. These sound great. But let's just go through it anyway and have a good listen. Alright then, let's get it calibrated up. Just while it's doing that, I'm going to use the same track over all these 7 videos. So even though we're using different cassettes and different decks, we're going to have a constant in the tune. And the tune is Synergy, which is, well, as you recognise, the tune I use for my intro because it's such a great tune. So I said I was going to record this about 6. I'm not. I'm going to record it about 3, maybe at 4. Let's be honest here. This is about all I usually record a cassette anyway, because again, for the same reasons I don't use NR. I don't mind a bit of hiss. It reminds me it's a cassette. It's as simple as that. And pushing it further than like 3, 4, even if it's a super ferret, you are going to get a little bit of distortion or a bit of high-end roll-off. So I don't want that. I want these to sound as good as they can. So like I say, we're going to have this peaking at about 3. So let's get recording and let's listen to some Synergy. And that's enough. We won't have the next track, thank you very much. But yeah. So, observations. Yeah, there was some high-end roll-off on the hi-hats, but this is a very, very sharp track. But ultimately, again, and I'll keep on saying it, we're comparing the source with the recording in real time because it's a 3-head deck. But ultimately, if you're listening to this after you've recorded it, it will sound one of two ways. It'll sound good or it'll sound bad. And again, this one, it sounds good.
The truth.
So again, don't judge Memorex cassettes based on their early foray into the market, because from the mid-80s onwards, they're not really Memorex cassettes. They're Saihan and SKC cassettes with Memorex stickers and Memorex on the J card. And SKC and Saihan have always made consistently good cassettes. Now, I know I keep going on about the price of these, but if I bought these, like I say, it meant that they were good value. TDK-ADs, Sony HFSs, I never really saw them cheap because I hardly bought any of them. So that's all I can think. So to compare this to an AD and a HFS, for example, no, it's not as good as an AD. It's not as good as the HFS of the same time. You know, the shell isn't as nice, the performance isn't as good. However, this is easily as good as the Ds and the HFs of the time. Yes, I chose a song there that has not a lot of bass, but it does have a lot of hi-hat and treble. And the roll-off on the hi-hat, if you really listen to it, you can tell that it's got a bit of high-frequency roll-off. But again, that's because we're comparing source to the recording in real time, so we can pick out these differences. But if you were just to listen to this now, just as a recording, you'd say, that's a good recording. And that's what it's all about. He gave a good recording in a sturdy shell at a decent price. So that's why I really liked these when I was younger. Maybe if I could play something with a bit of bass to it, you could hear how much bass these cassettes actually have in them. But unfortunately, due to restrictions, I can't exactly, put Don't You Want Me by Felix on this for you to have a listen to some decent bass. So, it is what it is. But again, don't judge Memorex on their early stuff. If you can see Memorex nowadays from the mid-80s onwards and they're a decent price, they're a good buy, they're a good cassette, they really are, and I really recommend them. Alright, so that's that day one done, so I wonder what we're going to have for day two. I guess you'll have to find out tomorrow, you lucky people. Until then, happy taping, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.